Welcome to the Pro Aging Podcast. I'm Steve Gurney, founder of the Positive Aging Sourcebook. We are excited that you can join us for our interactive discussions with pioneers and thought leaders on a wide variety of topics related to aging and longevity. Today, we kicked off our monthly series of interactive and live discussions with leaders in moving, downsizing, and organizing. Each of these discussions is anchored by a member or members of the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers, often referred to as NASMM, and it includes panelists from other moving and downside solutions. I'm pleased to be partnering with JK Moving Services on these series and enjoyed sharing the hosting duties with Tom Grass today. This session featured Charna Kinneberg from Senior Transitions, who's a move manager and member of NASMM, Vicky Hathaway from the Bob Lucido team of Keller Williams Integrity, who is a certified real estate specialist and specializes in real estate. And lastly, David MacMahan from Fairsplit, which is some technology that is very useful in organizing and downsizing one's possessions. So let's jump into the discussion with this great panel. We had a lot of great questions and enjoy the content. I am really excited to first introduce you to my co-host this week for these downsizing discussions, and that's Tom Grass. And if you've seen on the promotion, we're partnering with JK Moving Services on these moving, downsizing, and organizing discussions. And so I'm thrilled to have a co-host for this. Tom, welcome.
Thank you, Steve. Hey, on behalf of JK Moving and myself, thank you everybody for joining us today.
Great. Tom, before we meet our panel, let's get to know you a little bit better. What's your role there at JK Moving Services?
So I'm the general manager of the Maryland location. We do both household goods and commercial goods here. I've been with JK for about 16 years now.
Great. And, for those of us in the Mid-Atlantic, we know JK because we see your trucks all over the place, and and you're a very familiar face. I also want to mention what I think is absolutely awesome is that your CEO, I guess, acquired White's Ferry so that historic landmark will continue. That's really made a lot of news in the area. Tell us a little bit about just an overview of JK Moving, what you guys offer, and then we'll jump in and meet our panel.
Sure. So JK Moving Services has been around for about 40 years, owned by Chuck Kuhn, and grew it up from one truck to, over $100 million company today. JK does local, we do long distance, we have storage, we have commercial, international. We do a lot of work with the military, the government, and a lot of what we call COD, which is the private sector and moving locally and long distance. We strive to do our best. We have a training house within our facility that we train all of our people in, whether it's packing or how to move the furniture. Everybody has drug testing, background checks, very thorough there. And we certainly enjoy giving back to the community. The ferry is our latest one. We also have a community farm, which we do over 50,000 pounds of organic vegetables. And we also provide some meat and venison and items for the food insecure.
Great. Excellent. And what I think I'm going to do right before I introduce the panel, let me just play this video because I think it's a good one that you guys put together, like right when this COVID pandemic hit, in terms of how your organization is working with older adults. And I've been doing this for 30 years, and JK has really had a commitment to serving older adults. So let's watch this, and then I'm going to bring the panel on, and we'll get this thing started. So I'm going to do my best to share my screen here, and it's just a minute video, folks.
Who can you trust with your most important move? Yours. We put the safety of our senior customers as well as our team members first, closely following guidelines put in place by the federal government, local governments, and the CDC. Our dispatch teams perform daily touchless temperature checks and completes employee health logs while staggering dispatch times to reduce the number of employees gathering together. JK's moving professionals have received further training on our protocols to keep the safety of our senior customers and that of our employees top of mind. Our virtual survey options help to keep seniors safe by allowing you to conduct a survey of your home yourself, or if you prefer, with the aid of one of our moving consultants without anyone setting foot in your home. Crews arrive at your home prepared and ready to protect you and your home and provide you with a worry-free move. All trucks, technology, and move equipment are fully disinfected after each use. Trust JK to provide the care and respect for you, your loved ones, and your belongings.
Great. Okay. So let's welcome our panel here. So I'm really excited about today's discussion. And so if we can get Charna, Vic, and David on, we'll get to know you guys a little bit better. And so here's what we're thinking about for these discussions is we want sort of like half getting to meet a panel so that you get to meet some of the people who are playing around in this space in the market, and then really jump into Q&A. And so sort of round one, we're going to get to meet our panel members, learn what they do, who they are. Round two, the panel's going to just share some words of wisdom and things for us to think about when it comes to moving and downsizing. And then we really want to devote the majority of our time together to engaging with questions with the audience. And so with that in mind, just as a reminder, if something pops into your head, if you've got a question or a comment or a concern about moving, downsizing, older adults, organizing, what have you, type it into Q&A right now, and we will jump on that throughout our discussion today. So let me jump into the first panel member, Charna Kinneberg, who is a senior move manager. And we really, our goal with these monthly discussions is that the senior move management profession is front and center. That's one of my goals, is to sort of let people know that this exists and let people know who is doing this and the resources that they offer. But Charna, tell us a little bit about yourself, what led you into becoming a move manager, and then maybe if you could tell us about the association.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. And thank you for inviting me. This is just a wonderful opportunity, and it brings me back 19 years ago. A little bit later on in the year, 19 years ago, I got a letter from a lady by the name of Margaret Novak, who was putting together an organization called NASMM. Actually, it didn't even have a name at that point in time, but we'll go into that in just a minute. I got into senior moves because I had to get my father relocated from New Jersey to Maryland. And that was a real adventure. My sister, like many families, was going there with my brother-in-law to help. I walked into the house and there were these giant boxes. And she and my brother-in-law had been tossing things in these boxes. And I looked around and I thought, oh my God, I'm either going to need a forklift or I'm going to need to have my head examined, because if I comment on anything to my sister, she's going to think I'm ungrateful. And if I don't comment to anything, somebody like JK Moving is going to have to bring a forklift. That's all there was to it. Well, my sister-in-law had the forethought to send a move manager, and they weren't well known at the time. So she sent somebody. We walked around the apartment for about an hour, and everything we said, this move manager said, oh, we can do that. That's not a problem. Yeah, we could do that. Whether it was sending things out of state or packing something up or getting rid of trash, it didn't matter. She could take care of it. At that point in time, my daughter was 4, my father was 88, and I'm stuck in the middle. So I knew I wanted to get out of what I was doing because my dad, I was going to do his care management, and he was a bilateral amputee. A year later, I started my company, and then 6 months later, I got this note from Margaret, and we ended up starting the National Association of Senior Move Managers. Now, NASMM just rebranded, and I'm so glad to see so many move managers have signed in. We're now the National Association of Senior and Specialty Move Managers. So we've expanded, and there's a lot of people that are not older adults that need our assistance. And so we now have a bigger marketplace, and we're growing, and despite the pandemic, we're here, we're strong, and we're helping all kinds of people that need help.
And one little personal tidbit that I like to share about Charna, because I've been on a few calls with her. She has some exotic birds, and when we logged on today, she was sort of like, if you hear some noises, my birds are kind of going crazy. What kind of birds do you have again, Charna?
I have a Moluccan cockatoo, and I also have an umbrella cockatoo. I call them my dinosaurs because they sound and act like dinosaurs. They're great. Yeah, they're different.
Good.
They're locked in their cages, so I will not be chasing around the pool table trying to pick one up.
Very good. So thank you very much, Charna. And our next guest is Victoria Hathaway with the Bob Lucido team. Victoria, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here and happy for us all to be together with this technology. And thanks, Steve and Tom, for hosting. So my background was in communications and healthcare, and my dad got sick. So Alzheimer's was the diagnosis, and I earned my stripes by being the kid that stepped up to the legal, the medical, the financial, the placement, the house full of things, and the house itself. And about 6 months later, turned right around and did the same process for my mom. Different story, different outcome. But, for me, a huge point of this story is that I had no idea that Charna existed. Didn't know about the industry. And, when I tell you that the pound of flesh comes off of somebody, it was off of me. And so learning the hard way and going through all those experiences. And fast forward to friends in real estate and my employers now who saw the need for all the older adult scenarios that unfold, every day in real estate, and approached me and said, would you be interested in creating a program that was specifically focused on older adult service within this paradigm of real estate? So that's what I did. I wanted for there to be, philanthropy and volunteerism and education and credentials and, just all the good things that I could put into it. So I'm coming up soon on a decade. And I guess the best way to explain how different I am in this role is that although I am a licensee, a real estate license, I function as staff. So as they say, I don't sell. My sole focus, my sole role is to work for the older adults and families in tandem with the real estate agent who stays in that traditional real estate agent lane. So.
Oh, that's unique. Now, Charna, Vic, tell us a little bit about the certifications that realtors can get to work with older adults.
I would say the most popular one, the most well-known, the most recognizable is the SRES. And I think we have some folks joining us here today who certainly have that. That is the Seniors Real Estate Specialist designation, and that is offered by the National Association of Realtors. Thumbnail sketch on that is you go to school for 2 days, you do take a little test, and it's a good way to give an overview to realtors who may know a little, may know a lot. And then you have dues every year for that. CSHP is another one of mine, Certified Senior Housing Professional. That is a national designation that I personally think goes deeper than the SRES, a little bit more complexity, a little bit more depth, and puts you in the mindset of those for, the referral sources, puts you more in the mind of the clients and what they're going through. So that's probably my favorite. Also, Certified Senior Advisor. That one doesn't have anything specifically to do with real estate, but I love it just the same. Legal, sociology, biology, government programs, financial, and you take a 3-hour exam, and then you are required to do 30 credits of volunteerism and continuing education every 3 years. And of course, you have your dues for that one as well. That one is a bit unique in the world of designations because it's cross certified, cross accredited. And I think that puts it in maybe the 4% of designations that are out there. So if you're a nerd like me and you understand that as professionals, one of our challenges in all of our industries is to differentiate ourselves, to me, it's a fine way to do it. So it's, anybody who has questions, feel free to hit me.
Great. All right. Excellent. And let's move on to our final panelist, who I'm really thrilled to have back on our forum. We did, and I'll send out a recording of a much more detailed demo on what David offers. But David, you founded a company called Fairsplit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what Fairsplit does.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for having me back, first of all, and welcome everyone. So Fairsplit, this is my 4th or 5th startup. I'm an entrepreneur. I love creating new ideas and making them happen when some people think there's no reason to even have it, right? A new invention. And so for me, the best invention was one that solves a problem or pain. And I sat down after I sold my last company and I thought, let's focus on that. Let me try to come up with something that actually adds value, that makes a difference. And I thought about the 2 most painful times in my life, losing my dad really young, and his kids, his siblings, his mother were all scattered everywhere. And my sister just had to make educated guesses of what we might want. And she really had no way to communicate what was there. The apartment had to be cleared out the day she arrived. And so we developed Fairsplit, developed an online platform where you can upload photos of everything in the house, organize it by room, by category. You can easily label things, and then you can invite your family members in to this private family account. You can sort everything by furniture, by artwork. You can share it. You can let your sister help you list everything in mom's bedroom or in the living room. But it preserves a record that is accessible by everyone in the family that you choose to let it be accessible by. And so we do most of our work in estate settlement. Steve knows I did a webinar yesterday with trusts and estates, and we had over 1,300 people signed up for it, mostly trust and estate attorneys, trust officers of banks, and estate planners. Now, we do some downsizing as well, because you can't, you can't sell the house until you get everything out of it, and you can't just clear everything out of it till you figure out, do the kids want anything? So a nice way to be able to communicate, look, we have to move, Mom. Here's pictures of everything in the house. Do any of you want any of it? Otherwise, we're going to move this with Mom and we're going to sell or donate the rest. But the real pain point that we come into play the most is when the executor gets stuck with Mom and Dad have passed. We need to sell the house because we need the funds. And we don't know how to do it. We've never done this before. And the will just says divide everything else equally among the kids, and don't know where to start. And one of the first things we do is say, look, you're not alone. There's a whole industry around this. We partner with NASMM on a local level all the time. And so that move to the specialty moves as opposed to just downsizing, some of that is quite a few of the NASMM people have done multiple estate clearings for us, estate settlements. So we try to really partner with those local people, and they use our technology to help everyone know what's available and how to deal with it.
Cool. Well, let's, I think one way to sort of close the door on round, so awesome panel, and hopefully it stimulates some ideas there in the audience. But to close the door on round one is getting to know each of you and your organizations. I think I've got a video that I can play that explains Fairsplit a little bit better, or, you know, with graphics and everything.
Yeah.
So how about if I play that, and then panelists, just get ready to share a few insights, and hopefully we can sort of get to the halfway point and then just start entertaining some of the questions that are coming in. So let me share this video on Fairsplit with everybody. And
divide things, not families. During this time of staying home with family, use it to do things you'll be glad you did. Get ahead on photographing and listing personal property for estate planning. But it is an even more opportune time to record Grandma telling her stories about family heirlooms or her life in short videos. Don't lose her stories and her or his voice from one generation to the other. We invite you to use fairsplit.com totally free to create, store, and share both home inventory photos and legacy videos.
And we enjoy them a lot.
Awesome.
Start with a pad of paper, a pen, and tape measure to photograph room by room and to take relevant notes. Have good lighting coming from behind you if possible. First, take photos of the room from different angles. Then carefully take single photos of each item or pairs of things, the way one would want to keep together. This can be done quickly with today's phone cameras. Click, 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 and done. Notes added to the paper, and an extra photo may be needed for things like rug size, artist information, quality, or damage. The last photo you take of the room is the sheet of paper with your notes. Proceed to the next room, etc. until done. Then simply create your free fairsplit.com account, recreate the rooms of your house, highlight the room photos, and upload. You can store as a photo inventory or quickly name each photo and categorize for being able to list, share, and create reports. Remember, this is also a reason to have Grandma humor you and record her stories about heirlooms she has saved or her favorite life stories. You'll be really glad you have these, and you'll likely both enjoy the process of recording her.
Well, we started out with the English Bulldog, but then the kids wanted Goldens. So we first got one Golden, and then after we got a second Golden, and both Goldens were beautiful.
Cool. That's a good video, David. And I think it sort of shares one of the reasons why I wanted you on our first discussion on this topic is it's, you know, number one, we can use this for free. It can organize things, and it's just something to think about, something in everybody's tool chest. But I think the coolest thing is the fact that family members can vote on how emotionally attached they are to a particular item. And I always reflect on, I really wish I had my grandfather's dogs playing card photo, but my aunt got it. And I would have bid every chip that I could to get that photo, that picture. All right, guys, let's jump into round two real quick so that we can get to some questions. Charna, I'm going to pass it to you. Any words of wisdom? Well, actually, before we get to Charna, I'm going to go to my co-host, Tom. What are some things when folks are working with moving companies? What are some of the things that really helps them make that transition a little bit better?
So the communication, the organization, everything. We can work with variables, but it's really knowing what needs to be done, what needs to be packed, what matters most, where it's going, and then how the timing all works with it. So organization is probably the biggest key to having a successful move.
And that is a great segue to Charna, because that is a profession that gets people organized. And I'm assuming, Tom, that you guys do backflips when you find out that you're working with a client that's working with a move manager.
Oh, absolutely. It's enjoyable to work with people that understand what the movers are going through, what they need to make their job easier in order to satisfy the client.
Great. So Charna, any words of wisdom for our audience?
I would say to start early, and also move managers work with not only people moving out of their homes, but we can also organize it and make it safe. And the nice part about move managers, especially ones that have been around as long as me, is that we have a bunch of different resources. We know who the good movers are, Tom. We know who the good realtors are, Vic. We know resources like that Dave has to offer. So I would say call earlier rather than just wait around till there's a disaster in the making. That's probably the main thing. Start early and be organized. And don't be like that old joke where a woman goes to get a cup of coffee and gets distracted 19 times. So at the end of the day, she hasn't accomplished anything, including getting the cup of coffee. It's got to be systematic.
Great. And one thing I just want to mention to the audience, you can see I'm trying feverishly to cut and paste any comments in chat that only went to the panelists. If you don't mind checking your comments there, because I know you guys want everybody to see your contact info and stuff like that. So just if you didn't repost it to all panelists and attendees, repost it, and I'll do the best that I can. But also, don't worry, we have a recording of this. We're going to have a recording of the chat, and we also have this in podcast format, so your next door neighbor can listen to this while they're walking the dog. Okay, let's, Vic, what are some thoughts that you could share with the audience that would be helpful?
I guess I'd like to second Charna's remark. I see this process ideally as happening in chunks. And, this is one where the tortoise wins, not the hare. The sooner people can start, years ahead, because sure enough, the tasks that people are undertaking with all this will fill the time, allowed and then some. So that discovery process of where am I going to move is a whole piece. And then the downsizing piece, ideally, would be a whole next separate piece. And then prepping the home for sale, if they are going to do anything to it, would be another chunk or piece. And then finally, engaging in the selling process, its own whole separate piece, and then the move. So, we certainly can jump in and scramble the jets when people are doing it all at the same time, those need-based moves where it's turning on a dime. But, in terms of best practice, the ideal would be to start early and stick with it and go in order, be linear.
Great. And again, you guys are teeing up these segues perfectly, because it's sort of like if somebody had the foresight to get a free subscription to Fairsplit and begin organizing their possessions, not only would that be a great thing to inventory for your homeowner's insurance, but it kind of sets this wheel in motion in the future if they had to downsize. Any thoughts you'd like to share, David? Or
so Steve, yesterday I was part of a 3-person panel, and a very esteemed estate planning attorney was on it, and then also Dr. Marla Stum, University of Minnesota. She wrote Who Gets Grandma's Yellow Pie Plate. And one of the things that was talked about is how preemptive giving is so valuable to the family, and it's so valuable to the estate settlement process, and so few people do it. And it was something that they really were pushing, that, if the most, especially the most emotionally charged items, the most valuable emotional items, not the monetary value, but if they would be given in advance and maybe a little video of why it's an important thing and why I'm giving it to you, what a treasure that would be as part of that process in advance. And it's important, though, to keep track of what is given to whom, so there's no question, well, wait a minute, I didn't know mom gave that to you. Are you sure you didn't just take it? You want to keep an ongoing record of that. And so that was a big part of our discussion yesterday. And again, that advanced planning, and it sounds weird from a software guy, but the human element, don't forget that. Like that video, I don't know what I would give. I would give so much money if I have my grandmother a little 1-minute video, because I can't remember her voice. So just keep that in mind too.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And I love the title of that book. I'm assuming that it's pretty good.
It's good.
I posted the Amazon link in chat. Whew. All right, great guys. So now we got time to sort of dive in to audience questions and comments, and we've got a few that have come in here, but I'd like, in order of the way they came, we got an email before the event from Bonnie Ferris, who's a realtor, and Bonnie asks, what if a person, let's see, I have questions about elderly hoarding situations, and I'm just going to randomly sort of throw these out. What if a person needs to sell their home ASAP and does not have a lot of time or financial resources at hand? What's the best way to priorities and find help if needed? Should the person stay in the home while decluttering, or is it best to move out? Any cost savings ideas? And Charna, these sound like some great things for you to sort of address first. And if the others have any comments, let's jump in.
Yeah, that's my wheelhouse. Trying to sort with a hoarder, I call it rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Hoarding is, and we talked about this earlier, Steve, hoarding is another addiction. It's just put another coat on it. It's an addiction. And trying to get somebody to make decisions quickly when they've been hoarding is almost impossible. It's very expensive to do it that way. Ideally, what they do is decide that things they absolutely have to have. They get moved, and then we go sell the house. We find some way to be able to bridge that financial need. Most times, unless they've spent down the assets in their house, the biggest asset that they have is their house. So if we can get them moved, we can postpone payment for the moving, for move management, for whatever they need to have until the house closes. There's resources that will do that. So if we can postpone that, we can identify the things that are essential, hopefully not hoard up where they're going to, although unless they get treatment, therapy is really important with hoarders to find out why they're doing it. So if we get them moved and we identify the things they need, we make it safe, then we can turn it over to a realtor, get the home sold. We can get the possession sold. There's all kinds of ways to get things sold. They're a little bit more limited right now because of the pandemic. Nobody wants to go into estate sales, but there are ways to do things online. There are people that will buy an entire estate. So we'll look at the most cost-effective way of getting it emptied, and then the realtor can take over and either get somebody to buy it right away, or they can have it rehabbed and sell it for more. There's all kinds of options at that point in time, but it's just knowing what resources are out there in your area and how to take advantage of them. But again, trying to sort with a hoarder, it's tough when they're there, and it takes a long time, and it's not going to be a quick process.
Great. Okay, well, Bonnie, I know you had a lot of questions that you emailed us. Hopefully that gives you some insights.
So Steve, Scott Compton has a similar question about removing trash. How is it noted for disposal, eco-friendly trash removal process, and so on and so forth. So, when we talk about downsizing and moving the elderly, I think that we should be moving the person to their new location and set them up with all their important items. Sometimes it's too much, we can bring it back. Sometimes there's extra room and there's a few extra items that mom or dad or whoever would want to have. Once we get them set up in their new location, then the next process happens, right? And trash is a big part of it. So, trash bags are for trash. Moving cartons are for, things that need to be well taken care of and either sold or moved. And when we do that, we have a number of companies that are specialized in trash and Goodwill and the paint cans and the so on and so forth. So a lot of different services out there to help along the process, but I believe we need to move the person first and get them comfortable.
Great.
I want to chime in with one thing too. When we're sorting with people, the decision really should be you're going to either keep it or you're not going to keep it. A lot of times people get tangled up of where should it go? Should it go to Goodwill? Should it go to Purple Heart? Should it go to be sold? Well, should it go to just keep or not keep? And that's where David's things come in, because once you've decided what you're keeping and it's moved, like Tom had suggested, then the rest of it can be offered, not insisted, to the relatives. And once they've made their decisions, then we can go in pretty quickly and get rid of the trash, get rid of the shredding, and get sold what could be sold and donated for what could be donated. Any great move manager, any of the ones that are on here they'll have a whole list of resources where you can sell, donate. So we're pretty resourceful individuals.
Yeah, Charna, I know we were talking about MaxSold as someone we recommend a lot if you're trying to sell things online. And as you mentioned, the first round, if you upgrade in our system to actually divide things in the family and make choices, that first round is yes or no. Does anybody want this? And if everyone in the family says no, it moves to a column sell or donate, and it immediately can start to get dealt with.
Yeah, and well, David, I saw you typed in the answer for Judy Tiger, who said, advice from David about negotiating multiple asks for the same item.
Right.
That's a good one for everybody. It's sort of what happens when you got 3 family members that want, that item of china. I doubt that's going to happen these days, but.
Right. Well, we spent a lot of time on this yesterday in our discussion because it's a state settlement, but the same thing happens in downsizing because so many things have to be dealt with. And it's a minefield of emotional family discord. If this part is not handled delicately and with transparency, like, if the family just discovers that the oldest sister said, well, I helped mom get cleared out. She's moved into her new place. I saved this for you. Everything else I sold. There's a good chance nobody's ever going to speak to her again. So this is where we come into play in our free platform, and people can log in and share. But if they need help dividing, we have a system of rounds. That particular question, the second round is emotional value. I refer to it as Dad's ukulele round, who wants it the most. And you can put all 500 points on Dad's ukulele, or you can spread it across 5 or 6 items, and whoever puts the most points gets that item. And then everything else that is less emotionally charged it's like the old draw straws and take turns. You have your cheat sheet, your top choice to bottom choice, and then at the end of the round, if there's 3 kids, it goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. It takes the top item remaining on each person's list, and then it's done.
Great. No, that's excellent. Let's see, Vic. Mary Dane asks, who handles the CSHP and CSA certifications?
CSA is Certified Senior Advisors. There's a good website there that you can hit and learn all about it. One of the things I also like about them is they incorporate backgrounding checks into the credentialing. And for the Certified Senior Housing Professional, go to SREI, and that stands for Seniors Real Estate Institute. And that is also a fantastic website and Facebook presence with all kinds of good pearls of wisdom and very accessible.
Okay, great. I posted that in there. Also, Kieran Brown wanted Vic's contact info. We're going to share contact info with all the panelists after this event, as well as all that chat transcript. So you can go back and look through the chat and see if there's somebody that you wanted to reach out to. But Vic, if you want to drop your contact info into chat. Scott Compton asks, how are items noted for disposal handled?
That's the one we did earlier, Steve.
Oh, got it. Good. Okay. Laura Quigley for Charna, what challenges have you faced during COVID? Are people reluctant to have you come into their home? Well, that's a good question for Vic and Tom as well.
Oh, there's been all kinds of challenges. People are reluctant for us to come in. People will refuse to wear masks and we won't come in. The communities, it's ranged everything from no move-ins and somebody has to move in, to only 2 people can move in, to you have to be tested before you move in, to, oh, we've got an outbreak and now you can't move in. If there's a disaster that's happened, it's probably surrounding trying to get people moved during COVID. And it requires us to really stay in close contact with the communities and with the people that we're working with. And yeah, we've had people that we've been into their homes and we leave the home and we think we're okay. And then we get the email of, I think I've got a problem. And that's going on right now with somebody that we saw last week. You just have to kind of take it and roll with it and make it work.
Great. Vic, how about sort of the home selling process? Have you noticed any challenges there?
Challenges and then solutions. It's been a remarkable year. Governor Hogan in state of Maryland has allowed real estate to be serving ever since this started last March. And so the use of technology has been pretty incredible. Showing buyers, showing sellers, doing things with FaceTime, walking through the house with the telephone, safety precautions top of mind. So examples would be when open houses became doable again, permitted again. What you're looking at is, hand sanitizers and don't touch anything. And the queue for the open house is extending out down the driveway because it's one, small group at a time coming through, no children. And the realtors are the gatekeepers of that. Buying houses sight unseen, not visiting physically, something that's happened ever since technology existed, overseas buyers and that type of thing, but certainly an increase in that kind of activity. It's just an incredible time in the real estate market. Who would have thought it? And for the seniors, I guess my whole world is nothing but older adults. And so the idea that they are able right now to cash out at these, market highs, and they don't have to have the experience of then turning around and being a buyer when they're moving to senior living is incredible. And vaccines happening is really sort of just creating an explosion of people who are pent up and have deferred this for a whole year, and they're all coming out now doing the thing. So it's just been extraordinary.
Great. And we've got a question that we'll get to, but Tom, I see that Annabelle has a question for you. You want to read that one?
Yeah. Do you move separate items being shipped to other family members, larger items, and can they go USPS? So we have small shipment programs. I've been around the estate moving the 40 years of my moving career as well. Had a lot of experience over at Leisure World and Asbury Methodist and so on. So you're right. We only need one piece moved to California or one piece to Texas or this going there, or can you wrap the China up and get it UPS to, Michigan? So there are a number of ways to get those things located or relocated to the people who need them.
Great. Charna, this is probably one that you could have some insight on. Jan Buchanan says, have heard that there is truly no market for stuff. Can you speak to auctions and estate sales? And I guess, David, you've got some insight on this as well.
The truism is the things you think have value often don't, and the things you think are worthless frequently are not. The marketplace changes. We have a cleanout guy we work with some frequency. He knows the marketplace. He knows what's selling. He knows what isn't selling. And if you talk to move managers around the country, we all have different marketplaces. We've talked about this in NASMM, that what might sell in DC may not sell in Baltimore, and what sells in Baltimore might not sell in San Diego. So things are, the Steuben-glass, the Hummels, the Yadro, the decorative plates that people bought by the hundreds, they're not selling real well. the best way to figure out if something is going to sell, in my mind, is look at what the prices are going for specific things on eBay, but look at what's sold. Don't look at what's listed. So that'll give you an idea. And then we do the best we can. If we can't sell it, we'll get it donated.
Yeah. David, any insights on that? I mean, I know there's so many, we've all probably gone through this. We have an item and it's like, oh, I don't want to give this away. I'll put it on eBay or Craigslist or whatever. But the amount of time and energy that goes into that, it's sort of any kind of thoughts on getting rid of stuff.
Yeah, I would agree with Charna exactly. Most of the people that we're dealing with have an elevated sense of what things are worth based on what they paid for them. If it's downsizing, the parents think, oh, this is worth, so much, I hate to give it up. And, my favorite thing is, what antiques now, it's just old brown furniture. There's almost no such thing as valuable antiques anymore. We get asked a lot, especially in contentious estate settlements. The family all wants their fair share, and my sister's not going to get more than me. But even if it's not contentious, they just want some level of fairness. So we actually do fair market value assessments just from the photos, and we have ladies who run estate sales here in California. But they do exactly what Charna says. They go item by item. They look up sold items on eBay, sold items on Craigslist, EBTH, some other, just see what his stuff actually sold for. And it's usually practically nothing. And so we put that value on things so the family gets more realistic. But then we tell them, okay, let me take it even further. We're putting garage sale, estate sale values on things. Now dividing it within the family to see what it's worth to the estate, divide that by half. Because you've got to pay the estate sales company or someone to come in and actually do that for you. So at the end of the day, you think you had $100,000 worth of stuff to divide. Well, now you're down to 20. Now you're down. It's not that big a deal. Don't break relationships over it. Great insights there.
Let's see. Betty Bacalars from the Holy Cross Faith Community Nurse Program is wondering if the panelists would be available for a 20-minute consultation or what have you. I'm assuming the answer is yes to all of you.
Sure.
Okay, great. And then let's see. This is a good one for us, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. Margot asks, how do I help my 71-year-old aunt who has now decided to declutter her house and organize? I hear the anxiety in her voice, and my fear is she is legally blind in one eye and has a lot of steps in her house. Should I start mentioning she should move to be safe? She stays depressed and unhappy a lot. Her house may not be the reason why. Lots of stuff to unpack there, but any words of wisdom would be great.
Yeah, there's a company that I know of that will actually come in and they will make the home safe to help people live in the home. So that may be one resource. If somebody wants to get in touch with me, I can pass that along. The other thing is just take it little bits at a time. What do you want to go through? Yeah, don't try to do the whole thing in a day. And then, like David was talking about earlier, hear the stories. So let's pick up something that you want to keep or you want to get rid of, and let's talk about it. Tell me what it's about, where'd it come from, and that's one. Especially recipes. I think recipes are really neat because you all have family recipes. Well, tell me about it. Where did it come from? Who gave it to you? It's a great way to spend some time with somebody who during COVID is probably incredibly lonely because during COVID they can't get out, and depending on where they're living, nobody can get in.
Yes, I would tag off of Charna and say, get that overview going now. So understand that there are resources that can explore senior living, and you can get at the cost and the amenities and all of those things to do that learning. And then a lot of times people need to understand the value of their home, that snapshot at any given point in time, to understand how that piece fits into this puzzle of, if I am going to go, what money do I have that I can afford where I'm going to go? So you've got kind of a not a catch-22, but you're solving for that. And part of my joy is when I go out, it's not focused like an agent on, commission and we got to get this house sold and we got to push. Part of my consult is, okay, so maybe you're going to stay. Let's get you safer, downsized, organized. The same referral that Charna makes, we're bringing in companies that can safety fit the house, give an evaluation, and add grab bars, pull up the scatter rugs, keep them safe is job one. And then, also resources for community engagement, even at this time. Obviously the 50 plus centers are not meeting in person, but, there are virtual villages out there that provide community for seniors, because solving for that isolation wherever you are right now is key. So I think that gal with the question is she's thinking right.
Yeah. And, everybody on the panel is sort of illustrating what those professionals in our field is all about, is that we're experts in one area. It might be, real estate or elder law or what have you, but we all wear a social worker hat. And Vic, you and Charna illustrated this is that, okay, yes, my expertise is helping you move, but I'm there to support you emotionally, to find other resources and things like that. And this is a good lead into Judy Tiger's question. Charna, do you want to give a shout out to your clean out person, or do you want to keep that private and you can email it to Judy?
I'll just email it to Judy.
Okay.
He's a good
Great.
guy.
I wanted to oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He may not be the solution for everybody, so I'd rather talk to her and find out what exactly is going on.
I was going to add one thing that has come. We've dealt with thousands of heirs now in these estates, and just to, in the rush to get things done and to be proactive, just be conscious, especially in the kitchen. Watch out for things like the cookie jar or the little sugar bowl, or the wealthy. Steve, I think you know the story. The wealthiest family we dealt with, you'd know the family name, big East Coast, 8 kids, all worth hundreds of millions of dollars, none of them speaking to each other. The most contentious item in this multi-million dollars, 3,500 items to divide, an old wooden rolling pin that you wouldn't have gotten 50 cents for at a garage sale. Their mother taught them to bake biscuits and pies. So just look for those things that might mean a lot to someone before you just toss it in the to-go box. Don't get caught in the minutia, but be aware, how some things could have a lot of value.
Great. Now we've got 4 minutes and 2 questions, and I always like to say that because this is going to create a flurry of more questions. But a comment from Silvio Balderas, a professional organizer. I always try to encourage empty nesters to declutter early, regardless of whether they're planning to age in place or downsize. Great advice there, Sylvia. And Pamela Silberman Mills says, you mentioned there's less of a market for antique furniture. What about art? And what's the best way to handle the downsizing of old art? Good question, Pamela.
I can tell you from our experience with art, we just did a big job with Sotheby's, and they had appraised a lot of art, and most of the appraisals are for insurance value, so replacement. To get the value that most insurance companies put on art, the house would have to burn down. It is very hard to get half of what most appraisals say you're going to get for art. Obviously, there is fine art and there's exceptions to the rule, but you'd have to put it in the gallery. They're going to charge it at least a 50%. They're going to mark it down for every couple of months it sits there and doesn't sell. So it's there's no blanket answer for that, but it's typically not worth what you might hope and think it's worth.
Yeah. One, and I know we've got a lot of senior living communities on the call. One solution with art that I think is just wonderful is that in a lot of the communities, instead of having this sort of generic artwork in their hallways, the hallways have the artwork of their residents. And yes, it can sometimes look eclectic and not look as staged as a senior living community might want to be, but I think it really adds a nice personal touch, and it's a great way for the residents moving in to utilize their artwork. So holy cow, we made it, guys. And Tom, as I expected, I didn't give you a word in edgewise as my co-host, but I'm glad you jumped in there whenever I gave you the opportunity. But I really appreciate the support of JK Moving Services. And to our panel, any sort of closing comments or questions that you'd like to throw in there?
I guess my one is going back to, there's two types of value. There's the emotional value and there's the financial value. And I try to get my clients to concentrate on keeping the things that are high emotional value, because at the end of the day, those are the ones that are going to make them feel good when they've left their home and they're living someplace else.
I'm appreciating the sensitivity to all of these topics, and that, just by this conversation, we're combating ageism. We're bringing a higher level of service and awareness to people that could really use it, and, just gratitude.
Great. Yeah. And I second that, Vic, and I'm really excited that by having a conversation like this every month, we're going to be meeting different providers. We're going to be exploring different questions. The audience is different every time, to a certain extent. So thank you all for your participation. A reminder to everybody, I'll be giving you a recording. You can get the podcast. I'll give you contact info for all the speakers, panelists, co-hosts, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week at one of our events and next month at this one. Thanks again.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, panel. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Everyone.